Welcome back, everybody, to episode 1 of this Let's Play of Gordian Quest. My name is Gracian. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here to watch this game with me. If you didn't see my episode 0, be aware that that episode talks about the game, how to build your characters, how to choose your characters, all the mechanics, and all that good stuff. So if you want to know how to play the game and get an introduction, head to episode 0. If you want to see gameplay, then you're in the right place. We're going to get started on our first combat today. I do want to quickly say a couple of things that I did miss in the first episode from the UI. One is this formation down here. So Lucius and Catherine being both melee characters, and they will automatically start here, but you want them in the front row as they start here. That's fine. And then Bertram down here is automatically set to the middle row. Now, I think I might put him in the back row for now. We might switch him back if that doesn't work out too well, but that way he's protected from melee attacks because people can't target him if he's behind anything if he's in the back row. The other thing that we didn't talk about is ranges of things and the skill levels of things. Now, I did mention that these little pips show how high of a level the card is, but I didn't actually show you that if you right-click on any card in their deck, you can actually hover over this to see what happens to that card if it gets upgraded. Now, there's a level requirement, as you can see. You can't make this card a level 4 until he's level 26, but you can see how it increases over time in damage. And then again, if you hold control, you can see that the modifier stays the same. It's just the base damage that goes up over time. The other thing I wanted to show is ranges. So this is a melee attack, meaning you're much more limited in the amount of space you have to target an attack like this. So typically it's going to be things that are right in front of you and close to you, whereas range attacks can do things like jump over to the back line or something like that. There are also a variety of other things, like here we see we have a range shot that deals more damage if the target is unobstructed. So if there's nothing in the way, you can do a lot of damage, but if there is something, you can still hit them. It just does less damage. So it has a special symbol to indicate that something strange is going on with the range. There are also Aoe effects. So for instance here, he can target somebody around him. Now this is for him to target his engineering things that he builds, his little turrets. So you can see as long as he's basically adjacent to it somewhere, he can improve them. And then there are also things like this where he can only go in cardinal directions, not diagonal. And then there are things like this siege turret that once you build it, he can build it anywhere around him that's adjacent. And then the siege turret will actually use an AoE effect. And I don't think I have any damage symbols to show you for AoE at the moment. So with those out of the way, let's go ahead and get started on our first combat. So I think what we want to do is, knowing that the boss battle down here, way down here, is level 9, we do want to make sure we're pretty close to that if we can by the time we get there. You can actually like avoid fights enough that you don't get a whole lot of experience. Like we could go to the merchant, campsite, event, fight, portal. So we could actually get to the boss by having done only like 5 basic fights, and we will not be level 9. We will not be level 9. So we have to be a little bit careful about how much stuff we skip over. It's not too bad, because if you use enough tactics and you have a good enough deck or equipment or something like that, then certainly enemies higher level than you can be defeated. They don't get any sort of like nonsense bonuses just because they're a higher level, like you just do less damage to them or anything like that. But certainly, you know, their access to special cards and their stats are going to be too high for you to handle if you don't get some battles under your belt by the time you get there. So I say we start off by going this way. This basic encounter with these dire wolves will let us get to this event, so I can show off how that works, and then we can get to a campsite, and if anything horrible has happened, we can rest up or at least grab some supplies or something. So let's head on down here to this encounter. Onwards. So you can see up here, a d20 was rolled for each character, and then their base initiative was added to determine everybody's order of play in this particular combat. That should stay the same for the whole combat, but there are periodically things that will let you jump around in the initiative order. So you see, we actually rolled pretty darn well. We just barely got ahead of this one, but these two rolled pretty poorly, and so they're quite low on the initiative list. So the next thing we need to do is actually take a look at what the enemies are planning on doing. And you can see a little symbol underneath each one that tells the indicated ability or card that they're going to play. So this first wolf here, you can see the wolves have this growl and this howl ability. So that's what they have, and that's what he has in his hand right now. So you can hover over it up here to get a look at what cards they have in their hand. You can click on them, and then it'll kind of store it down here as if you're that character, so you can take a look. This one intends to use Howl to gain 5 guard, so this one's not a threat this turn, so we don't have to worry about defending, but it will have some extra defense next turn. And it has this Growl card to gain Might, which makes it do extra damage for the next X hits, which in this case will be 1. So that one is not playing, though. It's just playing the Howl. It apparently only has... can only play 1 card right now. You can also click on them down here, so we can see this one's planning to use Bite and deal 6 damage. So you can hover over the Bite to see its targeting parameters, or you can hover over this symbol, which will also show you the card, which is very helpful. So you can just, without having to actually click around on things, you can just kind of see, okay, that one's guarding, this one's going to attack. Now, this one could attack here, here, or here, but it's going to attack the one right here. So if we moved her back here, this Bite would then target Lucius. So we have to be aware of that. We have to be aware of our movement because it will change the enemy's targeting parameters. This one is also going to deal a Bite, which is going to be 6 damage. So what we need to do is get either 6 defense on each of these characters, or make them unable to be targeted, or kill one of these off. Now, killing them off isn't going to be easy to do because we're on the first turn. This one has 2 more health for some reason. That's interesting. So let's take a look at our character. So we have Bertram up here first. So Bertram has the siege turret. Now this costs 2 of his 3 action points. Construct a siege turret, which is effective against groups. We also have block and dodge, which we don't need either of these right now. He's not being targeted, and the guard will only stay for 1 round. We have this buff to a sentry. Turret's next attack deals 9 more damage. And we have a sentry turret, which is effective against single targets. So I think in this case, we're probably looking at the sentry turret because there aren't that many enemies, and I don't know if they're going to be staying clumped up for AoE. So I think we're better off killing off one. So let's go ahead and drag this sentry turret card over to here. So now we have this immovable volatile machinery. When destroyed, deals damage equal to last hit it received to all friendly units in the same row and lane. So the row is this way, and the lane is this way. This is something that the community is currently battling with the developers on, is because if you're like me, you would consider this to be a column and this to be a row, but they call this the row. So it's almost like you have to turn the whole battle 90 degrees and then you think of it as a row. So the lane is the length of the combat battlefield, and the row is like ally space. So it's a little bit weird for me, but it's okay. Improved ammo. So I think here we want to upgrade our turret. So that's really cool. So we can upgrade our turret. Now we can see that this card is now going to do 15 damage, and it hits twice because we buffed it. So it's actually going to do 30 damage to this target. We can see the red is outlined there under that wolf. So if we can do a little bit of damage to this wolf, the turret, which is now here initiative 16 in the list because it got rolled in when it was summoned, is now going to kill this wolf off before it gets a turn if we can deal 5 damage to this wolf. We can probably do that with Catherine, so we can actually click on her and take a look at what she has in her hand. So here, perfect, deal 5 damage, gain 1 channel. So when we get to her turn, we will use this card on this wolf, and this wolf will not get a turn, meaning she does not have to get any guard this turn. Now, Lucius, however, will need to guard. Now, he does have a couple options for guarding, and we'll probably have to do that just so that he doesn't take damage. It is a little bit difficult to heal damage in this game. You're way better off to not take any damage. If you watch my Arcanium playthrough, the characters get damage, but healing is a big part of it, and the health totals are a little bit higher. Generally, they have about double this much health, maybe more. And then, you know, between missions, you might take damage or heal up, and that kind of thing. Healing's a little bit more rare in this game, so you have to be pretty careful with how much damage you take. So let's head on back to Bertram. So Bertram's turn is done. I have it turned off to automatically end turn, just so we have a chance to get a look at things. So we'll end turn here. He also has consumables down here, but we don't need this right now. So now we're on to Lucius. So Lucius, unfortunately, the dodges are only worth 5. But in this case, I think we're going to go ahead and guard up twice just because I don't want to be taking any damage and I'm not feeling threatened by this pack of enemies. So I'm not feeling like I need to hurry or anything like that. We can shift this target. Now this would move them over this way. I don't really want to do that. So I'm just going to use a slash. And then we're just going to leave this as it is. Now it's Catherine's turn. I love the character models in this game. They look really great. So for Catherine, we want to go ahead and deal 5 damage here. Oh yeah, and I can show you the targeting parameters so you can see this debilitating bolt, for instance, can actually hit anything in the enemy's battle line. Now if she was over here, which I can do by clicking, and if I click again it confirms it and she'll spend 1 of her 3 action points to move, which I don't want to do, then she would only be able to hit this area here. So you do have to be careful with these kind of things. It looks like it can hit anything on the battlefield, but really that's only because she's standing in the center. You can also swap with another character. So if I clicked here again, she would spend 1 action point to actually swap with him. So that's cool that characters can basically use other people's action points to move around. So if I need Lucius here, I can use her action point to move him. So say he spends his turn dealing big damage, and then I swap and put her in a guard state to take damage. It's a pretty cool mechanic. So now that this wolf is been dealt 5 damage, it should die on its turn from this, so it won't get to do anything. So we don't actually have to guard at all here. So what we might do is hit this one with a debilitating bolt over here. This is going to do 5 damage and give it vulnerable. We'll take 7 more damage on the next hit. Effect ends on turn start. Now, unfortunately, we won't get to hit it again this turn, but what can we do? We might as well spend this just in case something goes wrong. Get a little bit of guard here. And then we're ready to end turn. And what's going to happen is these are kind of go a little bit rapid fire. You can actually change. I think you can change the action speed. Yeah. So if you want to slow down the AI action speed a little bit so you can really see what's going on, I would recommend doing that at the beginning, and then later on just ramp that right up and just everything will speed right through. So as soon as I click end turn, that's going to go through all of these semi-rapid fire. So I'll try to narrate anything that's important. So first we got this wolf that's guarding. Okay, and we've got our turret's going to fire twice, doing huge damage because we buffed it. This one's going to bite, but it's not going to get through our guard. Okay, so then this wolf has shifted, this wolf has shifted, and now they're planning new things. So this wolf is planning on attacking, and because there's no targets here, he's going to be attacking Catherine. This wolf is planning on buffing himself to get a little bit of might, so he's going to do more damage on his next hit. However, this wolf's going to be pretty easy to kill because this turret's going to fire twice, dealing 12 damage total, so he's only going to have 12 health left. So let's head on over to Bertram, see what he's got going on here. We can actually improved ammo this again, and it'll just finish this wolf off for us, and we don't have to worry about it now. Move to any cell in your row or lane, so that's a pretty cool ability. Tumble. Shift, gain a stratagem. Move target into an adjacent cell. Automatically appears in hand when you have significant SP to play it. So that's like our special points. Stratagem points, probably, actually. And we can't reach this. You can see Impaling Shot's range is directly down the lane in which Bertram is standing. So I cannot Impaling Shot any of these creatures unless I move. But if I move, I'll use an action point and not be able to cast it anyway. Far Shot, you can see because it's range, I have a very wide area of effect I can target. I can even target things on my side. The reason you do that is sometimes there are obstacles or things on your side that you may need to get rid of. So what we might do here is Far Shot this guy here. I should probably talk about Primed Shot. Primed Shot means can be boosted by arrow cards for additional effects, so that's not something that we have to worry about right now, but there are, in his more like arrow-based deck, there are a lot of ways to say like your next Prime Shot will do X, and so you want to buff those up. But for now, this is just a basic attack that we need. You can see it's going to do 16 damage rather than the 9 that it says. Kind of a sneaky arrow here. Because this character still has the vulnerable. Now, I definitely thought that would end on its turn start, but oh, it does. It ends on its turn start. It hasn't gone yet. Perfect. So we can get some pretty big damage there. And then we don't have much more to do here. Oh, we could have gotten critical, but that's okay. Let's just shift to here. And then we'll just go ahead and turn here. We don't really need to. Yeah, that's okay. We don't have anything else to do with him. So we've got 12 damage. No, we have 30 damage coming in here. Grant 2 might to self and adjacent allies. For every adjacent ally, grant 1 might to self. So this is a situation where moving is going to kind of take a lot of our points because we have to swap with her get over here. So I think we might buff the might to give her extra damage. Now he's got this stratagem. Let's just go ahead and do it. So I can't slash this character because this is melee. The reason I can't do that is because there's something in the way here. So I cannot target further back. If this unit was gone, I can use melee on things further back. You're not trapped with melee characters not being able to hit range characters. That's why you want your melee characters in the front. Bertram is protected against most things other than range attacks and like those long line attacks in the lane. So we can go ahead and, what do we want to do? We probably just want to move back to here and just like pop a guard on or something. So you can actually see now this wolf is targeting Lucian instead. If Lucian wasn't here, if he was say back here or something, this wolf would actually target this turret. A little bit complicated at first, but you really just got to understand that melee is kind of restricted to the closest thing, or you can choose if they're tied. Range, you have much more freedom. So now what do we want to do here? I kind of messed up when I moved her over here. I shouldn't have done that. 18 damage. Okay, here we go. So if we go over to here and then smite this wolf for 1,000,000 damage. Okay, so now we can just end turn here. This turret's going to obliterate this wolf. There we go. So we gained 480. Why'd we gain different amounts of experience? Oh, last hit bonuses, flawless bonus. Oh yeah, because they never got hit. Very exciting. So yeah, so we got different amounts of experience based on the last hits. We found some gold. And that's all we got. Pretty easy first fight. I hope everything was clear about how combat goes. I know it's I guess now that I'm explaining out loud, some of these things do seem a little bit convoluted, like the way targeting works and stuff probably wasn't super clear from that, but it'll get more clear as we go. I'll try to explain a little bit more as we go. So let's move on down to this event. So this is where we're going to have dice rolling related challenges where we choose options, and then using our stats like strength, dex, and intelligence, we have to roll checks to get through things. So for instance, one time I had I was in like a warehouse and I was trying to sneak past some bandits, and I had to have all three of my characters succeed in a stealth check. And I got, first one made it, got past, second one made it, got past, and the third one actually like tripped and failed the check and alerted the bandits, and we ended up in a fight with them. So let's go see what it is. You come across a marked stone altar hidden in the shadow of a crevasse. There's a receptacle on its surface for a single item. There are what look like enchanting runes engraved on it. So I don't have any items. I can't put anything on here. It might increase the rarity of an item or something, like adding magic to it, but unfortunately I don't have anything. So we have to just leave. That kind of sucks. All right, so let's head on over to this campsite. So camping. We didn't need to camp, but unfortunately we had the node, so we might as well use it. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. Let me see how clear I can be about this. The point of camping is to do several things. Develop relationships between two characters, to acquire supplies by foraging, which are here. You need these represent food and medicine and that kind of stuff that your characters need as they go on their adventures. To rest and heal. Resting to get rid of your exhaustion cards, and healing to get your health back up. So there's lots of things you do with resting. Now, each character also has special campsite abilities. So here's Lucian. He can armor care. Target hero starts the next 2 battles with 2 armor. Or weapon care. For the next 2 battles, target gains 4 plus level divided by 6. So we can see that that's his level is 1. So that's basically 1 critical every turn. So they'll just do a little bit more damage. So under here it shows this. This is actually a supply cost, and the 1 in the top left corner of the card is the time cost. We have a certain number of hours before we need to get up, so we can only do so much stuff at night. And if you're thinking, well, if you're doing this stuff, how are you resting? That's the case. The problem with doing lots of stuff at night is your characters aren't resting, so you have to be careful about your time management and your exhaustion and your health and all that stuff, because the more time we spend doing stuff, the less time we can just rest up. Fortunately, our characters don't really need any rest, so we can do stuff. These are interesting choices. Let's look at Bertram. Scavenge, find random crafting materials. That's pretty cool. It looks like it might cost a fate point, which is interesting. Restring, for the next 2 battles, gains a buff granting critical every turn. And Catherine can do Fervent Prayer. For the next 2 battles, party gains a buff granting 1 might every turn. That's extremely strong, but that's why it probably costs this. Fate. First Aid. Heal target for 50% of their maximum HP. Now, that's an amazing ability, but that's because she's a healer, so she has this special campsite healing ability. Normally, characters would need to do stuff like pitch a tent. So get your chuckles out of the way, and then we'll read the card. Sets up a tent in camp, adds rest in tent to hand, gain 1 exhaustion, and then expend. So that basically means we put a tent up, then we can use the rest in tent card on somebody, and they will gain health and lose exhaustion over time. So whoever sets up the tent gains 1 exhaustion because they're tiring themselves out preparing the campsite, but then we can put somebody in the tent to rest up. Yes, it's convoluted, but I actually think this system is really fun and interesting. Warm meal. That's probably a heal as well. Consume 1 supply. Draw an activity card. So let's have Lucius. Spend an hour musing to draw an activity card. Let's have Catherine pitch a tent by beating it, I guess. And then let's spend our fate point on scavenging. I think that's pretty fun. Okay, so we got scavenge. Find random crafting materials. Go do it. So now that everyone is busy, it will automatically progress hours until someone is done. So if everyone was doing something that would take 6 hours, it would just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we'd wake up and do stuff. So we acquired magic dust and null stones. No idea where he found this stuff, but he did. So now everyone's awake again. We've used up... We can't use this because we don't have any more fate. That's kind of an expensive ability. So now Catherine has an exhaustion card. This hero's health and exhaustion level. Strenuous activities will increase exhaustion, which directly relates to the number of exhausted cards in the deck. Resting will remove exhaustion. So can we actually see that right now? Yes, we can. Cannot be played. Rest or use consumables to remove this. So during combat, she can draw this dumb exhaustion card that sits in her hand doing nothing and just gets in the way. It's not fun. I don't like the exhaustion cards. Nobody does. So rest intent takes a long time, but for every hour you recover 20% of your max health and remove 1 exhaustion. So we can do something like have somebody spend a lot of time gaining exhaustion, and then at the last part of the night get rid of those exhaustion cards by having them sleep. So here we've drawn something interesting. Hero removes a skill and gains a respec point. That's interesting. So we could get rid of a card we don't like. That's an interesting prospect, isn't it? I don't know that there's anything I'm desperately wanting to get rid of right now, so let's not worry about that. Let's have somebody draw 2. Somebody consume 1 supplies to draw a meal card. We'll see what that does. And then let's give somebody... critical. Let's give it to this character, Lucian, who can get it himself. So now we've passed another hour. Cover 10% of maximum HP, remove 2 exhaustion, turns into a cold meal if unconsumed. Oh, is that in 1 hour? Oh no. Do we have to use it right now? That's kind of funny. So we better use that. So she's going to have a warm meal to get her exhaustion back. Let's draw an activity card. And then let's pitch another tent. Why not? So we can pass 1 hour because we don't have anything we want to give her. Okay, so we have tents all over the place now. Hero gains a skill point, gain 3 exhaustion. Ooh, that's interesting. 6 hours, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we could have them spend 2 hours resting to get rid of 2 of it. Redraw a skill in the hero's deck. Ooh, this is real tempting, though. Let's do it. Removes a skill. Redraw a skill in the hero's deck. Gain 3 exhaustion. Well, ooh, that's interesting. Let's do it. Let's do it and see what we get. Let's do it with Bertram. And then let's pass an hour. Okay, we've got rest. We'll have... Oh, wait, you got rid of your exhaustion. That's right. Start a conversation. If played on self, convert this card into meditate. Bertram is already engaged in activity. Replace with chat. Accept. Our powers come from our faith. While the light exists in all of us, only the pure and faithful can commune with her through prayer. This must be their deity. I actually don't know much about this. So we can draw 2 or draw first aid. Let's draw 2. We don't need any health. Okay, done. So now we have consume 1 supplies, add 1 supplies, gain 1 exhaustion. He's done. Oh, so it must have... I wonder if it canceled that skill he was using. Whoops. Whoops. We found supplies. Hey, warm meal. Get rid of your exhaustion there, buddy. Past 1 hour. Okay, so now he has 4 exhaustion, but he got a skill point, which is pretty exciting. So let's have him rest intent. We can get rid of a couple of those. Do we want to add 1 supplies, gain 1 exhaustion? Yes, I think so. So we found another supplies, and then we can get rid of that card in the last hour in the tent. And... oh, he's got his buff, right? Okay, pass. Oh, so we actually got that last tick as well. I didn't realize that. So he actually only has 1 exhaustion card, which is pretty cool. So we can return to our adventure. So, okay. So I know what you guys watching are thinking, that that's maybe kind of complicated, but it's honestly really fun to do like the managing of the campsite stuff. If you don't want to deal with it, then you don't have to do all the juggling of things like I was doing. Just give people rest cards and get their health back and exhaustion back and then move on. You don't have to do all that stuff if you don't want to. I just think it's kind of fun to min-max some of that stuff. So Lucius has acquired a skill point. So let's go into our skill grid. And we go to Lucius. And so now we can click on stuff in this box that I showed you last time. So what we can do is we can gain initiative bonus, maximum health, strength, dexterity, or intelligence. Now that's important because we would get our next modifier level and it would increase some of our attacks and abilities. Tier 1 talent socket. When unlocked, you can swap in talents while camping or in town. That's pretty fun. I think I'm going to click on this one and I'm going to unlock this node, and then I think I'm going to increase his strength so he gets another modifier, so he'll actually do more damage now. So let's add that stat. He also now will have more bonuses in skill checks based in strength. So we have our intelligence character. This character will be our dex character, although somehow Bertram is less dexterous than Lucian, probably because he's an artillery commander now. So that's pretty cool. This little 1 here next to his box indicates that he has 1 exhaustion card in his deck. Pay attention to that. You don't want to get too many of those. All right, everyone. I know we only got through 3 nodes in this last 30 minutes, but we're all out of time for this episode. So we're going to go ahead and call this one to a close. We will come back in the next episode, do another event, and then we'll get another combat underway. Looks like we have a bone warrior and some skeleton archers. So these will be a little bit trickier to deal with because they're going to be able to target our backline if they want. So that'll be fun to do. So thank you everybody so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you in episode 2.